presenting spin. And he's going to sort of moderate this question and answer period. And okay, sure. We're gonna spread out, okay? We're a trifecta of power, so we shouldn't stand too close. But Peter's gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna get to that, but yeah. Peter's gonna ask some questions, and then he's gonna ask you guys to ask some questions, and it's gonna be fun. Did you have an okay time? Are you okay? We've been doing these screenings all over America, and they don't get less awkward. I don't want to be in movies. I want to go back to being a musician where there's lights and smoke and the delusion that you're a rock star. I want to go back to that part. But we thank you for being here, and when Tegan gets a microphone, I will stop talking.
I thank you too.
Oh, look at that. She made up that's almost like sign language, but like organic, intuitive sign language.
I feel like everyone here can hear me anyway.
It's true. Peter's gonna help out.
We can start. Peter?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's start. And for me, it's kind of cool to do this because the first time I met you guys was sort of in a not as awesome setting as the one at the end of the film, but acoustic, just the two of you and Ted, 6 or 7 years ago. And so it's kind of amazing to see that performance with like 10 people, and then to see it again with all of you, which is amazing. And it's awesome to see a movie like that, a concert film, in a theater like this where it sounds good. It's on a laptop. You know?
Sure isn't.
But first, I want to know if you could talk a little bit about the people who you chose to direct these 3 pieces.
Okay, thank you, Peter. That's a very great question. Appreciate you asking it. Thank you for being here. I don't remember when we first met you.
No, I'm honest about it, but the next time I met you was really exciting because I came to New York and I was doing, well, I'm sure we met a few times, but the next event that I remember was I came to New York to do one of your guys' amazing events where you raise money for
Housing Works.
Yeah, Housing Works.
Did anyone go to that with Augustine Burroughs?
Woo!
Yeah, there we go.
Housing Works is really amazing, that helps with housing and all sorts of stuff for people living with HIV. But anyway, I did this event for you guys with Augustine Burroughs. When I landed, me and my best friend Jeremy were here. It was first time in New York, and we got to the hotel, and there was like basically a single bed. And we got into the room, and we're like really close friends. We also dated at one point when we were teenagers, and so like we like got into the room. He's gay, I'm gay. He looked at the bed and he was like, "I am not sleeping in a bed with you." And I was like, "Dude, the feeling is mutual. This is not happening." So we called Peter and Emily Zemler, who was putting on the event, and they were like, "We're so embarrassed. We're so sorry. We're gonna move you to the most posh hotel in the city, and we're gonna take you for unlimited drinks." And that's when we became best friends. And what's funny is that they put us up in an amazing suite with a king-size bed, and Jeremy and I had no problem sharing that. So anyway, okay, we did build a pillow wall between us because I was like, ugh. So the directors. The first film is the film was directed by Danny O'Malley, who was suggested by our dear friend Matt Sharp. And Matt Sharp we met years and years ago when we were making If It Was You, and he played in the Rentals and he played in Weezer. And we were massive fans, and so when we were looking for someone to follow us around in America, he was our first call. He had just finished an amazing project, and it was a lot of video and a lot of music, and he suggested Danny, and so Danny showed up the first day, and he has these like really giant eyes, and like the first hour, he just like was staring at us, blinking, and he was like the kind of creepy guy, like that you're like, oh no. We thought he was a stoner.
Yeah.
We were like, oh my god, he's so high. What kind of film could he possibly make? And we were like our shoes in like slow motion or something.
Yeah, every time I would be saying something inappropriate, he'd be like, "Don't worry, I'm not filming sound." And we were like, "What are you doing here?" And so we sent him home, and then when he came back, we sent him home and we called our management. We were like, "Can you get some footage from him? Like maybe like a minute of like footage to see what it looks like." And it was a lot of that stuff you saw on the boat, and Tegan's flashing her gun. Yeah, when I'm like showing off my muscles, huge, very toned muscles. And then we were like, oh, this guy's great. So now he's awesome. Although we just saw him at the premiere, and now he's grown his hair really long, and he still kind of seems really strange to me, but he's wonderfully talented. We enjoyed him. And then the second film was directed by a dear friend of ours from school, Eleanor Svoboda, who's here tonight. Ellie is in the house. Yeah. And I think that came about, and I'm sorry, Ellie, if this is only partly true, because you know us for 15 years, so I know we exaggerate a little bit, but
But basically, I told Ellie that we were going to go to India, or that we were thinking about going to India, and Ellie has a long history with India, and so she basically said, oh, well, that's something I would be interested in doing. And so we traded her, basically, a plane ticket for that movie, which in the end, I don't know if that was really a fair deal. What do you think, Ellie? There was a point where I think she might have had a small nervous breakdown, and I feel like that may have been our fault. But in the end, I think it's one of the best movies. So, so she's here tonight, and I'm very proud of her. Proud to have had her do this. And the last film was this wonderful company from Vancouver, Salzar, and their job was harder than probably most, only because Sarah and I said we were going to record, 10 to 12 songs, have them tape it, and then we'd make a live album and a movie, and we ended up taping 4.5 hours of music and us talking every night, and then basically edited it down from from 9.5 hours to 2 hours to an hour and 45 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, every edit we were like, can you cut out less but keep the heart and soul? And then I got into it, and I would go sit in their studio with them and micromanage. So actually, Ellie, you probably had a much easier time than Salazar did, so they aren't even really talking to us. So.
Except on the boat, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know, and I kept looking at Ellie being like, pull out your camera, don't be so lazy. And she's like, oh my God. Anyway, so those are the directors, and it was really exciting working with all of them. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing I learned was that when you work with someone that you say way more inappropriate shit. And so Ellie had a tough job because she had to edit a lot of the really funny stuff out, because I was like, that's really inappropriate. Our poor managers, they were like, no, no, no. That's weird, that's rude, no, that could be misinterpreted, no, no.
There could be like a Naked Gun style, like blooper reel, like a closing credits thing. That would be good.
It would be amazing, but I think we may lose some fans. So we're pretty dirty when the cameras are off. Okay, or in this case on, but with a friend behind it. So.
Fair enough. So I thought we'd talk about states first, and where are the microphones for questions? Are there microphones?
There aren't. They just yell.
They just yell. Okay. Well then, maybe if you want to have a question, come to one of these sort of balcony-ish exits here so we can point you out.
Or you can just yell if you're too high. Not stoned. I mean,
like high up there. But I want, you talked in the first movie about like the between song banter, and then it kind of like fills up some of the time when you were starting out and had these long stretches to play and only had a few songs. But are there ever times when you guys are two of the most talkative people that I know? And are there times when the banter just doesn't come?
Yes.
and
when?
Perfect.
Okay. Well, what immediately came to mind, there are certainly shows where it's not necessarily because we're in bad moods, but I know that I have shows where I truly feel much more connected to playing the music than talking about the things that we talk about sometimes. So it can just be a mood thing. But when you said that, the first thing that jumped into my mind was this van ride we took, and we were in Germany, and we played a show quite late. I think it was in Munich, and we were going outside of Munich about 2 hours to do a radio performance the next morning, but we were very tired. And Tegan had someone in the vehicle with us, sort of like not someone affiliated with the band. Well, someone you were dating. But so, anyways, not dating anymore. So this person was in the.
Everybody really loved her.
This person was in the van with us, and we were so quiet. We were really, really quiet. And at one point, she said, like, "God, you're nothing like I thought you would be like. I thought you would be more like the happy, charismatic people that I know from." And I was like, "No, we're fucking bitches, and we are very negative. We're very dark. We are very."
What did you just say?
We're dark, we can be really moody. And I was like, hey, it's 8 a.m. We got like 3 hours of sleep, and we're about to go play a radio.
She wasn't particularly pleased with our personalities.
She didn't like us. She was basically like,
people ask us a lot if we ever would date fans. Not again. Burn. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
One of the other things from the first clip that I thought was really interesting watching it was kind of you guys get into a little bit of how, at some level, at some basic foundation, the two of you being who you are, being twins, being genetically similar, there's always this sort of like thread that ties everything together. But are there occasionally moments where you look at each other and you really question that to be valid? Because you seem convinced of it most of the time. but I'm sure there are moments where you're like, I don't know, who is this person?
We get along now, so it's hard to answer that question.
You know, I will say this is one thing. Okay, go with me on this a little bit. It's a little weird, but I like to do crisis therapy, so if I'm ever in crisis, I'll go see a therapist. Don't worry, it's gonna be short. If I'm ever in really serious crisis, whatever city I'm in or whatever, wherever I'm working, I'll just go see a therapist. I like to think of it like they're my mom, but I'm paying them. It's a fantasy, sort of. It doesn't matter. But anyways, I remember this one time having this thought, the opposite though. Like I was thinking, not that Tegan and I are different. I thought, what if I'm insane and Tegan is me, and I'm a solo artist?
She told me about
Tegan is like my dark, like she's like the dark side.
your Fight Club.
Yeah, like Tegan's.
It's like Dexter or something.
Yes, like I was like, what if Tegan is actually like I physically manifested another a visual person, and she's just like mean and she drives me insane and she always makes the wrong fucking decisions, and I'm just like fighting her, but I'm fighting me, you know? And I went into this therapist and I was like, this is our website, here are some live videos. I need you to confirm that there are two of us. Just tell me that there are two of us. Promise me. That's it, confirmed.
I'm glad that worked out for you that way.
What I did was I punched her in the face, and then I took a photo of her with a black eye, and I was like, see? You're alive.
It's too bad you didn't have this idea before Fight Club, because this would have been
Yeah, I know. Genius, right?
Yeah. Different movie would be screening, I think, today.
We also created Facebook, but we didn't know it.
So, anyone talk about?
True.
Any questions to shout out for the first part of the film?
Right here.
Did everyone hear that? No, that Tegan's not writing songs about relationships for the next album. That was the question.
Well, it's not true. It's an ugly, ugly rumor. I'm not sure where that was heard from, but you know, after this project, this Get Along DVD project, which from start to finish, it was quoted to me the other day that it was 16 months in the making. I definitely feel like I learned a lot about our band. Some things that I really liked, and then some other things I was like, let's not do that again. Let's not be those people. And one of the things that I learned by listening to our music, especially our older music a lot, was that we have patterns in terms of what we write. And I think that approaching this new record, I definitely feel like we're trying to undo some of the patterns we have, but also just try whatever comes to us. So we're talking to a lot of other artists, we're talking to a lot of producers, we're talking to a lot of people. I mean, I'm pretty much open to any suggestions if you just want to yell them out. I mean, ideas that you have about how we can better our band, you know. So, I mean, we're writing record number 7, which is crazy, but it's true, and I just feel like I want to make sure that we make a record that you guys love, but I also want to make a record that doesn't sound like something we've done before. So it's not that I won't write about relationships, but I want to make sure that I'm writing about them in a different way, you know, and that I'm not rehashing the past, and that I'm instead, like, I can't recreate. That's not my job as an artist. My job is to create. So I think maybe in the past I've been guilty of just recreating the same emotion again and again. So, and I think you guys are the best judges of that. So, so this DVD in a strange way is kind of like closure for that period of time in my life. I'm hoping to look into the future. So there'll be songs more about like money and girls and, you know, my car. Yeah, just, I don't have a license. I don't have a car. Yeah, just cars and just like nights out and like getting my hair done and like, you know, the important.
I said getting a hard on, and I was like, okay.
Getting a hard on, fine.
It's 2011, Sarah.
Sure, go for it. Why not? No, so that's sort of true, but not true. I mean, we're still right about love. That's kind of important to us. So. Peter, you're I'm gonna turn this Q&A on you. You were a journalist.
Yes, a husky journalist.
You're a husky journalist. We're lesbian folkies. Or as your magazine called us a few years ago, a Wiccan folk nightmare. So, what I'm curious about is there a direction that Spin Magazine wants to see us go? Like,
Besides on our knees?
You were saving that all weekend.
I'm just kidding. I love Peter. I love Peter. I love you so much, and I love Spin Magazine. I just like to really just wrench it home sometimes, you know?
That's where the husky journalist thing came in. I
That's true.
promise. But
You're really doing a great job. Thank you.
thank you. But no, I think that what's interesting is that I think these types of projects, like the film, kind of come naturally at this stage in bands' careers. Like 10 to 13 years, like that's when this happens. And when you kind of look back, and that's kind of what's interesting to see, like a chapter closing, which is I think one of the most exciting things to see about an artist that you like and you listen to for a long time, and you see them kind of taking stock and not just forging ahead like relentlessly, and you know that good things are going to come after that.
Can you imagine though our next record is just like this? Like we're like, oh, we recorded some songs, but acoustically, and we're just putting it out as a DVD. I mean, anyone else went down that rabbit hole?
It's like an iPad app.
No.
Have you ever? I mean, but you have a. I mean, all joking aside, you have a pretty wide knowledge of music and producers and stuff like that. Have you ever fantasized about what Tegan and Sara might do with a producer? Calm down. I went there. I know. I started it. Have you ever thought, like, is it putting you on the spot to say, like, what kind of collaboration, or, you know, whether it's with a producer or another artist, is there anything that you can, that would really be interesting to you, being a part of the journalist and media? Like, can you imagine something that we would do that would be really exciting for you?
Well, I think it matters much more what you guys think than what I think. As far
Oh,
as
but
that
come
goes.
on now.
But no, what I'll say is that I think what's interesting is to see both of you evolving as songwriters too. Like I remember when you guys played at Spin, it's just the three, you guys and Ted, like that acoustic thing many years ago in a conference room, and basically I think that it was like your first single, and it was like a big deal. And I think that like I kind of saw right away that you guys had different tracks you were going on, and I think each record, I'm sure you guys agree, like the songs that each of them write are different, and each record there's like different things and sounds they're exploring. So kind of on that note, I'm gonna answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Because I saw Tegan play by herself, you know, at our event a couple years ago, and I saw you sing with Theophilus London. You guys see that on late night TV?
You may remember this.
Rockin' the Frock.
Laughing with, not
No,
laughing at.
oh my god, are you kidding me? I was watching that at home and I was like,
It was
I
cool.
thought it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah, but I mean, is that you guys after all this you have like this chemistry as a band, which you can see in this film, but at the same time, you both are sort of proceeding in these different directions as songwriters. And you know, I mean, is there ever any moment where we'll see something that's not branded as Tegan and Sara that's separate?
You know, well, the collaboration that Tegan did with Augusta Burroughs and with Against Me were just Tegan featured things. So, I mean, I would really like to, and I think that we're attracted to different types of artists. So in the future, I definitely would like to. Right now, we're very aware of the brand. You know, I know that that's not not always. I know people get very yucked out by that, but that's the truth. Like Tegan and Sara.
Sara's really corporate.
Well, I think every time I say Tegan and Sara, I get 1 cent Canadian. But I think
Sorry.
to say Tegan and Sara certainly carries a different value than to say featuring Sara. Tegan is like Cher, so she can get away with it. She's like, Madonna, Cher, Tegan. They're like, Sara who? Which Sara? You know, so it's a little harder for me. But yes, I mean, I would like to, I'm not crying, I mean, I'm just saying.
It's a little harder for me.
I would love to eventually forge a path on my own. Creatively, I think that my heart is with Tegan and Sara because it's so much bigger than a project, you know, just music. It's about our family, it's about our friends. And, you know, I was really struck, I don't know why this just popped into my mind, but a couple years ago when Anna McGarrigle died, with the McGarrigle sisters, we were at Massey Hall in Toronto, and the McGarrigle sisters may not be completely familiar to all of you, but a Canadian sort of institution, sisters that wrote songs and sang together.
And then gave birth to like Rufus
Rufus
Wainwright
Wainwright
and Mark Webster.
Yeah, Loudon Wainwright and all of that, so it's sort of a Canadian royalty. And anyways, but it was really interesting because I was thinking a lot about it when we were playing Massey Hall because you know, you grew up listening to that stuff, and it's a band, but it's also sisters, and I remember feeling really sad, and I thought to myself, like, being in a band and ending the band or doing other things or whatever, that would be really hard, but in some strange ways, ending the band with Tegan is like a strange living death. Like, it's like, I know that sounds very somber, but it's true, like, you know, our identities are so fused and so entwined. Peter, did you just say sorry?
I'm bringing out all the dark stories.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, this one time. No, but I hope that Tegan and I always make music together and that we have a legacy as long as we're both on the earth. But I would also like to make my own legacy at the same time. Not unlike Riri's. Rihanna, for those that are not.
Sarah's obsessed.
Exactly.
Maybe we should take another fan
Let's
question.
take another question. Yeah, go ahead.
What would be the biggest thing that you want your fans to get out of your music, especially because it's evolved so much?
So for those of you in here, what would you like your fans? What would you most like your fans to get out of your music since it's evolved so much?
Well, I mean, that changes. It evolves all the time, and it really depends on the people. I mean, when we started, it was very much like a narcissistic pursuit. I just really liked writing music. I used it as a filter. I used it as a diary in a sense, and then when we started touring around, you know, North America and Europe, it became sort of like a way to adventure around the world and to live different experiences. So it initially was not about fans. So that really evolved, you know, later on in our career, where the culture around Tegan and Sara all of a sudden evolved, and it was weird. It was like you guys existed before we did. Like, you cared about the music like long before we understood the value of our music. And it's almost like we met you, you told us about it, and we were like, oh, gee, oh hey, they don't, maybe we should keep doing this. You know, it was like, you guys kind of inspired us to continue on. I mean, there were some really rough years, and it was all pre-internet, or at least the internet we know now, and so we had no idea. I mean, I have this freakish memory of being in New York and going to Coney Island to play some radio event there, and we were playing on the beach, and we showed up, and there was maybe like 3 or 4 people there. And I mean, now if that happened to me, I would just be dig a hole in the sand, and I would be like, Sarah, kick me into it and cover me up, because I'm so ashamed that nobody showed up. But back then, we were like 3 or 4 people. You know, we were really excited, and afterwards, there were a few security people, which is ridiculous, but they were walking us to the designated artist area. And on the way, there was a girl, maybe age 14, maybe 15, with her dad, and then behind them, like a mom and what looked to be like maybe 12 to 20 small children, all with them. And you are like Rain Man. It's like, how do you even remember all of this? No, it gets crazier. No, I'll never forget this. She's like, and then the one child had blonde hair and blue eyes, and in the corner of the left iris was a speck. And the speck was the shape of a snowflake, rotating slightly. Yeah. Look, I remember a lot of details because I'm not gonna lie, it was a little freaky. These people were not, I mean, they were a little weird. And so we're walking along this boardwalk down at Coney Island, and this girl, age 14 to 15, and her dad come up, and the dad has, shut it. And did you see identification? Please.
I'm surprised it's not specific, like at 14 and 3 months.
She's like, and this 14-year-old Sagittarius.
Well, we only talk.
Born when the sun was high in the sky, and I was...
No, it's gonna get answered. I know, of course. I mean, it's coming. It's coming. Don't get lippy with me. There's this thing. I mean, maybe you're being lippy, Sarah. I don't know. But anyway, okay. What's your name? Kelsey. So I'm standing out on the boardwalk, Kelsey, and it's me and this girl and her dad. Okay, and they stop us. Like they get up in our faces basically, and they stop us, and the girl is shaking, like shaking, and I'm also shaking because I'm carrying 2 guitars, and so we're standing eye to eye talking, and she basically tells us that they've driven like 9 hours to come and see us play, which is ridiculous because, like I said, there was like 3 people there. It was like 2000, like the year 2000. Some of you weren't born yet, but and so we're standing there and we're talking to this girl, and she's shaking, and the dad's like really excited, and he pulls out this old film camera, and the whole family lines up, and all the kids take pictures with us, and everybody's shaking. I mean, people seem genuinely really excited to meet us, which is confusing and exciting all at the same time. And the security people are like, you know, being security, and they're like, you know, blocking everybody out and whatever. And the girl, like, we finish our hellos and goodbyes and whatever, and then she says that she has a gift for Sarah and I, and she's got our names painted onto, like, grains of rice in these little, like, capsules, and, like, on necklaces, and gives them to us, or whatever. And we try to give them back to her. We're like, no, like, this is so amazing and this is so sweet, but you should keep them because I'm not going to wear, like, Sarah around my neck or even wear her my own name, and so, like, just, you should take them and whatever. And we go back and forth, and she ends up insisting that we keep them. And, like, I remember that night using my calling card, like, 500 numbers to call my mom and tell her this story. I was like, Mom, like, people came up to us on the Coney Island boardwalk, like, crazy people, but nonetheless, people came up to us on...
Sorry if you're here.
We're not seriously, tired. And, you're right, I don't remember the question. What was it again? What do we want our fans to get out of it?
I'm just kidding.
And after that day, like, I think for Sarah and I, like, we started to realize that this was a bigger experience than music. And we were okay with that. You know, every band gets up on stage and says their audience is the best, and they should. Because we should respect you guys. You're paying to come and see us. You're the ones investing. You're the ones talking about us. You'll be here long, long, long after Spin Magazine and, you know, MTV and all the rest of it. No, you will. You will. And oh, Peter. Oh, Peter. But we became very, very, very obsessed with your experience. So to answer your question would be impossible. What I hope you get from the music, Kelsey, what I hope you get from the music is that there's no limit to what I hope you get from our music. Take what you want from it. We're here for you.
Tegan just tried to be Leonardo DiCaprio and just do like, you're the king of the world, Kelsey, king of the world. Okay.
I'm wondering who needs the moderation now.
Tegan.
But Peter, can you come help us?
Yes. Let's move on to India, and we'll get to some more questions in a second. I think one of the things that you always see about these two when they're traveling, no matter where, like you mentioned Jeremy, like there's always friends and people in tow. It's never just like we're on the road and like I mean there are probably times where that's true, but wherever possible, friends are in the mix. And I think what was great about the India film was really seeing like one of your friends from growing up and your mom in this film, just kind of like hanging out, and Vivek as well, just kind of like joining forces on this.
See you later. No, they're not
Coney
judging
Island. Remember Coney Island. Remember Coney Island.
Probably has dinner plans. It's really intense in New York. You should get there. You should do it.
So, but I mean, why? First of all, what's important to you about having those people with you when you travel? And secondly, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of an exposure to open up the lenses to these people to watch in this film, and to have people that are very close to you on camera in these times where you're supposed to be able to hang out, chill.
I was just talking to my mom last night, and I feel like we have ruined my mom's life. Like, my mom is devastated that she's in the movie.
She looked good in the movie.
She looks good in the movie.
Good.
My mother is... Listen, my mom... I'm not going to tell you her exact age, but, like, let's be real. Tegan and I are 31. Like, I mean, we at least know that she was... You know, she's not 30, you know, she looks great, she looks fucking great, but my mom is so stressed out about how people perceived her in the movie. She's a hottie. I mean, I was just gonna say it, like, you know, like, if I'm that banging when I'm 51, I'll be thrilled. Oops, she's not 51. Anyway, she's not, actually, that's a mistake, that's not how old she is, but, I'm 31, she's older, but anyways, the truth is that Tegan and I have always kept the people around us that are important and who have real connections with us. So we're still friends with like all of our pals from like junior high and high school. We have a lot of family. We've been told we're sort of like loyal, probably to a fault. We keep a lot of people around us that, you know, probably under normal circumstances you would let go, but we cling to them.
You're like Left Eye.
I'm what?
From TLC.
I know, I got
taken advantage of, and there was on VH1 being like, I lost all my money.
Yeah, it's true. We've always kept a lot of really close friends and people around us because I felt like that was the only thing that would keep us really sane. And this is gonna sound sort of crazy, especially after Tegan's last thing, but I think that the most important thing to staying sane when you're a public figure on any level is remembering that there's two ways to assign value to yourself as a person. You know, like there's real life, there's your friends, your family, you know, the lady who does your dry cleaning, and then there's fans and the media and all the things that are a little bit removed from you. And I think over my personal experience over 13 years is that a lot of artists that really struggle, they've given too much value to the latter. You know, they're too interested in what people, strangers and public figures and other people think of them, and they don't have enough of that support network around them to give them strength and to be a reflection of what's real and what's valuable. And it doesn't matter how successful Tegan and I have been or how successful we may or may not be in the future. At the end of the day, I truly believe that if tomorrow I was working like as a teacher, or I was working at the dry cleaner, or I got my pilot's license and was flying people on Air Canada or whatever, I really feel like I still have a really plentiful life. I have a lot of really wonderful people in it. So we keep people around on the road to remind us of that.
Very nice. Hey,
And also, because they're really, they're cheap. You know, when you invite other famous people in media, you're always like, oh, here's another bottle of you asshole, you know, but with our friends, we're just like, here, eat these kind granola bars.
Is there any questions from like up top? I feel like we didn't put. Yeah, all right, you were the first one up. Go for it. Yes.
Hi. I'm Alicia. I think you guys are amazing.
Hi.
I was wondering, in the India film, Tegan, when you were like losing it in the monkey place or whatever, what was going on? Like, what was happening?
You know, I can't remember if we actually included Ellie in this, but internally with our management, we debated about if we should subtitle that section, because basically what I'm laughing about is that every time anyone took out their camera, we all pulled out our cameras, so every picture was just full of a bunch of us idiots with our cameras out. And this, all of a sudden, in that like very exhausted, hysterical state, struck me as the funniest thing I'd ever come across. Like, I was just like, look at all you fucking idiots with your cameras out. I'm not even fucking going for my camera because all I can see is you idiots with your cameras. And then, but I just couldn't stop laughing, and I said, like, when I was in India, there was a lot of things that happened for me while I was there emotionally, but one thing that was consistent was every single night I would get into bed and have to like massage my face because my jaw hurt from laughing so hard. And I think it was because we were slightly insane, but I thought everything was so funny. So yeah, some of my best moments, I'm laughing through them. But also when we came off the boat, I mean, we literally got dropped off at like a port/dump. And it was like garbage and like more garbage, and like there must have been like something awful buried in the garbage because it was worse than garbage, and I could not stop laughing. And the next day I got like vicious, like a week of vicious diarrhea and throwing up. And I think it's because I was laughing so hard. I was like taking in, yeah, like it was like a combination of like karma and like just way too much feces consumption.
That makes sense. That doesn't make
I also
sense.
had scotch later on that night.
You're not making sense.
What?
We didn't want to cover this very much in the movie, but Tegan and I did get Delhi Belly, and
I'm not supposed to film that?
no.
India's a great place to go. You should still visit. I mean, I had some diarrhea, whatever. It was like I lost 5 pounds. I was great for the next couple weeks. Sounds like a win-win situation.
It's too bad we didn't shoot the documentary in Australia and New Zealand, because it was just, we were really at our prime. But no, but truthfully, the Delhi Belly, there was this.
Smoothing this over?
No. I was teasing you because you said that we got Delhi Belly from laughing. You just moved
No,
away
because
from
we were in
it.
a dump. I mean, like there was like particles of poop in the air for sure.
I don't think that's what gave us Delhi Belly, but I will say it's not a joke. Delhi Belly.
You guys are laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm very serious.
Tegan's making Delhi Belly seem fun because she's being all cute and funny, but
It was fun.
that shit was real. I thought we were gonna die. I thought there was a moment in the hotel room where I realized that I was like, it was seriously like, I was in the hotel and I was like, you know, maybe I'm gonna watch a DVD and stay in tonight. You know, we've been out so much in India, and Tegan had said that she was gonna skip dinner as well. So I was just like hanging out in my room, and then a hawk, I have video of it, it's very weird, a hawk lands on the windowsill. Ellie, confirm that you've seen this video and it's true.
I saw the video.
Okay. Okay, I need like a real person to give. This is a true story. I'm in the hotel room in
I don't know if it's a
Delhi.
hawk, but it's a bird.
Oh, it's a hawk. It is a hawk. They were flying.
It has
over
wings.
I'm gonna post it online. I swear to God, dare you. In the next few days, I will post this video online. But you can see, I'm filming in the hotel room, and a hawk lands on the windowsill. And I walk over and I move the curtain aside to see the hawk, and the hawk flies away. But you can see it sitting on the windowsill through the curtain. And like, I kid you not, like 15 minutes later, I was like, I'm gonna go into the bathroom. I can definitely feel something. And then 20 minutes later, I was dripping wet, soaked to the bone, emptied of my soul and everything inside of my body. And I went to the phone and I called Ellie. And I couldn't, the voice that came out was a stranger to me. I was like, Ellie, get to Tegan. What did you say? I said, Ellie, did I not say this? Like, I wasn't even worried about me. I was like, I'm very ill. I think Tegan's ill. I just knew Tegan was ill, because not because of some twin bullshit, because we both had the same instinct. I thought I was gonna watch In Treatment all night and Tegan was gonna shit her brains out, but we got sick. So sick, and I was like, Ellie, get to Tegan. I think she's sick.
And Ellie did come to me, and I was laying on the bathroom floor, and she was like, get up, that's trashy. You need to get into the bed.
What did the hawk have to do with this?
Nothing.
I thought it was an omen. It was like a,
She had a vision, Peter.
it was a vision, Peter. It was a vision. The hawk was like, you are
about to get very ill.
The hawk.
Was it the horse therapist that sent it, maybe?
Yeah. The horse therapist was like, Sarah, I come to you in the form of a hawk. You're about to get very, very ill and learn that bread is not the thing you should eat when you're ill. You should, according to the Indian doctor, you should eat rice, you idiot. It was a really harrowing experience. And my mother, again, none of this is in the film because I would have found the energy to rip the camera out of Ellie's hands if she'd even pointed it at me. But my mother came home from shopping and I was in bed and I was like, you would think I was on my deathbed. Like I was like, Mom. And she was like, she just opened my hand and 100 pills. And she goes, she's a teacher and a therapist, and she had gone on this boat trip through the Amazon a couple years ago, and all the kids got sick on it. And so she says to me, as she's putting the pills in, she goes, you're fine. I was on a boat trip in the Amazon. Kids were having seizures. You're not gonna die. And I was like, oh God. So she's therapeutic. Amazing.
So, staying in India for one more minute, you talking about your mom, and turning the camera on her and having her speak very, like, kind of candidly about you guys, was that the first time you had kind of seen that, like, someone actually interviewing her talk about the two of you?
That was officially the first time on video, but she did speak with Spin Magazine.
No. I mean, like, on camera. Where
yes, that was the first time on camera. And
where you get to see it, like,
yes.
like her reaction and
yes.
response.
And you know, she was really nervous about it, and leading up to it, she was really excited, and then after she saw it, she said that she can see herself like holding back. I think years of reading our press and hearing us lament over not having more self-control in interviews, like tonight, that she felt she was really reserved in the India film because she was nervous about what to say. My mom's really sensitive about, she doesn't want to tell anyone who we are. She really believes that we should be ones to portray ourselves. So. But I'm glad our family was so heavily covered in this film because they're so integral to who we are.
Well, I thought what she said was so kind of amazing thing to hear. Like, you know, I mean, not paraphrasing a little bit, but she said she should never have worried about you and the choices you're making because you both are so capable. I mean, what was it like to hear her say that? You know, watching the video afterwards.
They always, our parents, my mother, my father, and my stepfather primarily, but we also had grandparents. Well, our grandfather is still alive. My grandmother has passed, but they were also really important in our life growing up. People always treated us like that. Like there was always you can do anything you want. You're great.
Here's the key. Here's the key. Let yourself in. Make your own meals. Do your own laundry. We were like, we're fine.
They're like, they sat us down when we were 8, and they were like, listen, you're special. You don't need parents, and so probably not going to be around a lot. And we're going to party, and we're really into Zambuca. So good luck.
But it all worked out for the best.
Just kidding.